I mean, I just wanted to give you a brief. Can you see my screen? I think you do see the screen, yeah. And I can see that there's about 2 to 3 seconds lag, so I'll keep that in mind when I switch to the slides. But look at this. Look at the number of questions we got. I mean, this is
You are on mute, Sumit. Sumit, you are on mute. We can't hear you.
Yeah, you were audible. Suddenly you went on mute. So it's
okay.
still, yeah.
That's
Now
okay.
fine.
I am logged into three systems, so any one of them should be working at any time. Okay. So yeah, I was saying, by no means, are these questions telling me that people are not interested. Look at the number of questions, the number of people they have, 109 questions that we are going to look at. I'll try my best to look at all of these today, of course, and anything that we don't make through, I will definitely follow up with, somehow I'll plan something else with with TWT team, and we'll get to you. But I'll definitely answer all the questions. So we are looking at freelancing or technical writers. There were a range of topics that we discussed, and then I think in today's mahol, today's situation, job scenario, it's always good to have something like this up your sleeve, if you know what to do and how to do it. So we'll talk a little bit about freelancing, tips, tricks, planning, strategies, um, and so I'm not going to go through a lot of this, but I've worked for about 20 years in tech writing. I started in KPIT back in 1995. Spent a little bit of time in Australia with Levi Strauss in Adelaide, while I was in Singapore, and I worked with a couple of banks, companies in Singapore over 4 years. From Singapore, I moved to the US, first to New York, then Philadelphia, and then to California, Silicon Valley. I spent 8 or 9 years over there working with HP, Cisco. That's where actually I learned a lot of freelancing and contracting, and that's basically what I'm putting into this today's session. Right. Then I moved back to India. I was here for 4 years, worked with a couple of companies, and then finally, well, not finally, but in about 2009-10, I moved to Toronto because I was a PR over there, permanent resident. I moved to Toronto, and while give or take, I was questions for Bits Pilani, talking about um, corporate communications, technical communications to their master's program. I taught MBA students at Sims, prepared them for Vivas, did a lot of campus interview preparations for MBA students at Sims, PIBM, a lot of workshops at CDAC, Siemens, Maratha Chamber of Commerce, and on and on and on. And after about 8 or 10 years in US, in Canada, where I was teaching at the Rotman School of Management in as part of University of Toronto. I worked with the Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Finance. So what I'm basically telling you is a lot of the things that I'm going to talk to you are not limited to a certain domain, technology, or geography. I'm going to be talking about a range of things and over a wide scope, where you can actually apply things in India, as well as if you move away eventually to work. Definitely, this will help you. So, one of the first things that you have to see when you look at freelancing is not how do I deliver, but how do I get the project. Delivery comes later, right? You first find a job and then you talk about your performance appraisals, not the other way around. So how do you know, how do you ensure that people who are looking for freelancers know you exist, you are available with the skills they need? Can they find you? So we'll look at how to make yourself found. Then we'll look at, you've had that first intro call and says, yeah, we would be interested, we have this online help requirement or training requirement or blogs or content writing ABC. how can you help us? What will you charge? Right. So first question is, Sumin, how much will you charge? And I'll of how I tackle with how much do you charge without knowing the requirements. But then we'll talk about the plan, the pricing, the quote, and then of course some best practices and strategies on getting repeat customers, dealing with non-paying customers. We'll talk about a concept called upselling and cross-selling also a little bit. Okay, so being found, if they don't know you exist, they will probably not come to you for help, right? So being found now, the workshop team, can you guys put that link up that I shared? There is a Google Docs link. If you look in the chat, this is a workshop, so I want it to be a little bit interactive, where I want to look at the chat, and please click on the chat. I've shared a link to a Google Doc, and I would request you to go into the first exercise. Okay, and kindly, excellent. I saw a lot of people coming in. Very good. um, I'm going to also put it up here. So please put over here in the boxes a list of all the ways that you think you can promote yourself. Obviously website is one, right? What else? Yes, absolutely, whoever got that, LinkedIn. But don't worry about if that thing already exists on that. Just put it, whatever comes to mind. We'll spend 30-40 seconds on this. For those of you who are just joining, look at the chat. There's a link to a Google Docs. Please click on that link and add over here any way that you can promote yourself as a freelancer, how you can be looking for jobs and stuff like that. About 10 to 15 more seconds. Good. Thank you. And the best part is that all of this will be captured in the recording that the team is doing. So this is basically to help us brainstorm as a group all the things, and I'm going to talk about continue keeping and adding stuff. If you think about something perfect, we are going to talk about LinkedIn, we are going to talk about brochures and portfolio, we are going to talk about a little bit about digital marketing, not too much. We will definitely talk about references, uh, completely different workshop on the art of networking and how to do networking, what you should be doing as part of networking, what events should you be attending. I used to do a lot of these workshops in Canada when I was there, but of course in India, networking isn't taken as an art. It's taken more like, I'm on Facebook and I'm on LinkedIn and I'm on Instagram, and I think that is networking. Yahan pe we meet friends, we meet colleagues from a chai ki tapri perception, not from a networking kind of a thing. So this is a very good networking event, TWT events, any city local events that we have. So we'll talk a little bit about that. All right, let me carry on. So Perfect. So all the access ways to promote yourself, you put, I didn't have space for 50 options. That is why I wanted to make sure we are considering all of them. But yeah, LinkedIn, definitely. That's always number one on my list. Whenever I talk about freelancing, it's LinkedIn. You have to, what does it mean to be on LinkedIn? Yeah, what does it mean that I own a house? You don't just own the walls, you own the inside of the house. It's interiors the way you want, it's the color that you want, it's all the luxuries or basic amenities that you want to have. Similarly, on LinkedIn, it's optimizing your profile for your particular niche. It's view others' profile, they will look at your profile, and I'll tell you a little bit about monitoring your profile views. I have done, I think for TWT, it was maybe it was STC. I did a session on using LinkedIn for job search. Uh, so there's a lot of stuff that I spoke on that LinkedIn workshop. Absolutely, marketing collaterals. A lot of you case studies, samples of your work. You see a lot of these YouTube sales videos. Put yourself out. According to a LinkedIn survey, you get 7 times more views if you have videos on your LinkedIn profile and you have rich media, and if you have YouTube videos. So do videos, and definitely helps. All the different avenues you can reach out to people from. I think some of you had put referrals on that. So don't underestimate the power of asking. I'll tell you an example of what a referral might look like. Get your existing clients to refer you from within your network. Okay. And yeah, I think when I was talking to some of you, there was this question about portfolios. A lot of people asked about portfolios. So create a stunning portfolio and wow your clients. You can upload that portfolio to SlideShare. So I'll show you an example of a portfolio in a minute. Okay, but here's what it means to see who has viewed your profile or monitor profile views. Now you go to your LinkedIn profile on the top left, see number of views. That gives you a number of people that have viewed your profile in the past 90 days. So it's always 90 days in the past from today. And if you can see, this graph keeps going up and down depending on the number of people who are looking at you, right? They have, LinkedIn has done away with this graph format now, but at least you see the number of views on your LinkedIn profile. Monitor that, because that will tell you how many people are looking at your profile. If 3 people in 90 days looked at your profile, it'll probably be your close friends or your mother, mummy, daddy, or your brother who wanted to see ये क्या कर रहा है बच्चा आजकल, right? We don't want those kind of views, right? You want professional views. How to increase freelancing, but maybe if someone is interested, we can have that session. You can ping me offline also for any help with LinkedIn. I used to do a lot of workshops on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn and I use it 100% of the time when I'm looking.
Sorry,
Yeah,
probably in like at times there is a lag. Switching
Yeah,
off नहीं हो रहा.
I'll
the
yeah, sorry,
voice is dropping actually.
I'll keep that in mind. I forgot. So okay, uh, so I'll go back to this. Everyone saw this, I think.
Yeah, you just
Uh,
mentioned
so
something
I'll
about
move
one session,
to this one.
Sumit.
Yeah, is it okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, uh, I hope you can hear me because I. Okay.
And could you also just adjust your camera?
Am I
We
audible,
can't.
guys? I don't see any. I don't hear anyone. So
Uh, can you hear me, Sumit? Can you hear me? Meenal here.
I
Hi,
can't hear
Sumit.
anyone.
Yes.
Actually, you were
Hello?
in between. There was a lag for like 10-15 seconds. So kind of missed it something
Maybe.
from the last slide.
Hello?
We can hear you, Sumit.
Oh, you can hear me, but I can't hear anyone. Maybe you guys aren't speaking. So, okay, I don't hear anyone. I don't know why. My volume is, yeah, I don't hear you guys. I can hear, I know you guys can hear me. But I don't hear you. Let me look at the device. Is fine. Headset, headset. Yeah, sorry guys, I don't hear you. Let me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Let's see.
We can hear you.
Oh, now is this better? Can you hear me now?
The volume is gone actually.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yes,
I
yes.
can hear you now. Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
Yes,
Okay, we're
yes.
back on track. Sorry about that. Okay, so here's an example of what introductory or referral mail might look like. It, hi Yogesh, Amit, whoever sent this, some Tanmay guy. As discussed last year, I introduced Sumit to you. Sumit does a lot of work with really big guys across geographies. I've seen some of his beautiful crisp point. Who are these people? So the guy he introduced me to, this is back in 2015 or 16 when I came to India from Canada, and I was trying to see what I'm going to be doing. Amit is the founder at so and so company, and Yogesh is the CTO of that, Chief Strategy Officer. So obviously, when you're meeting these kind of people, that's the best referral to have because you pitch to them, they like it, you got the project, you got the job, whatever it is that you're looking for, right? So this is what referral works does. And when I say within your network, this is what I mean. I might have worked with Tanmay once upon some time, and he said, "Hey, some of the people I know are looking for services that you offer," and there you go. So that's an example of a referral. So now for the second exercise, what I would like to do is go back to this thing, and if you scroll down a bit, you will see that there is a second exercise, and I would like you to think about how you will um, admit or how you will promote yourself for everything that you thought in the beginning. So if you put LinkedIn profile, what will you put on your LinkedIn profile? What will you exactly do to promote yourself? Is it just have a LinkedIn profile, or what will you do? Okay. Perfect. Recommendations, and if we did a word cloud of these recommendations would be very bold and beautiful and prominent. Experience, yeah, you will put out your experience. Reach out to experts in the field, absolutely. So you're getting the gist of it, right? I mean, these are the things that you have to think about. We don't think about these things when you've been in a job for 2, 3, 4 years, right? But these are the things that keep you sharp and that keep you thinking, okay, who can I reach out to now? Who can I connect with? Which are the groups? I think a lot of you, no one has put groups so far. Don't forget the power of groups. You can have up to membership in up to 50 groups. Uh, and there are millions of groups on LinkedIn. So think about groups. I mean, TWT is the best example of a community, of a group that, Puneet and team have built, but you can participate in that, ask questions, answer questions. That is what builds your brand. So yeah, again, continue on that. But some of the things that I put here in LinkedIn, specifically what you have to do, you have to look for the right kind of keywords. Anticipate what are the keywords that your target audience is going to be looking for. Because if they are looking for A and you have B, C, D, E, F, G, you are never going to show up in their searches. And there goes the freelancing that you were dreaming of, right? So know the keywords, get recommendations. If there are two equal kind of people, if you have more recommendations than your competitor, that's another parameter that will help them tip into your favor. Put the scales. You might not have worked on RoboHelp or FrameMaker in last 10 years, but you know RoboHelp. You might have worked in it 15 years ago. Put RoboHelp. It's not a difficult tool to learn now with all the social media and groups and YouTube things that are available, resources. What have your project and education skills been? Details, headline. These skills, skills, headline, and project, past and current. These three things are really what LinkedIn is looking for when it ranks you higher or lower in its algorithm. So the right keywords at the right places, skills, headline, and past and current jobs. This is where you're going to be key to do a proper search engine optimization of your profile. When you're doing marketing collateral, you know, you can either create it yourself or you can go to these companies like Fiverr or freelance website, Upwork, and get yourself a good video, a sales video. Get yourself a website. Get yourself some brochures of what you do. Who is your target audience? What is your process? How do you incorporate your editorial reviews with the client's technical reviews, or how do you research a blog when you get a topic? What kind of institutions? Maybe you've worked with healthcare, maybe you've worked with finance, fintech, edtech, fintech. You might have worked with educational institutions. So put all of these things in there. Create some good marketing collateral. Make it available on your LinkedIn profile. Make it available on various other platforms of social media. um, Referrals, as we talked about, who have you worked with? Who do you know in the target company? So whenever I would be looking for some job or I would be looking for some kind of work and I see there's an opening or they are looking for freelancers, I'll go to LinkedIn and look at that company and I see who are the people who work in that company that I know. And I start with my first degree connections, but then referrals. If they are connected to people who I would like to get in touch with, I have my first degree connection refer me to that person who is really working in that company. It's very powerful if you know how to use LinkedIn. It works wonders. And of course, you can create a stunning portfolio and wow your clients. So, what does a stunning portfolio sort of mean, even, right? So, let me try and give you an example of a portfolio that I have created for myself. I did this as part of the of an okay, anytime now. I created this as part of one of the exercises that I was part of. I was doing a workshop on teacher trainer of adults, and that's where I did it. So this is my e-portfolio. It runs on its own. I'm not going to go through the whole 3 minutes of it, but what is this? I'm introducing. It could be my company. It could be my name, myself. Who am I? What are the countries I've worked in? It's basically telling about me. This is my portfolio. You don't have to work on all this. These are the languages I know. I can write, speak, or talk in. And who am I? I'm a technical writer. I'm an editor. I'm a trainer. I'm a mentor. And then here I have links. So if you click here, uh, if you click here, it takes you to the technical writing and my clients. And here are all the companies that I've worked with. If you click here, you know, um, and after this, it sort of moves to bring you your notice sample. If you click on samples, these are all the companies I've worked with. So these are before and after example of something I did for information mapping, or something I did for American Source Bourbon in Canada, or something I did for TIPCO long, long ago, or so you can go on and on. These are my technical training clients. So the other one was my technical writing client. So you can, create Bits Pilani, Siemens, Caseware, Avaya, NCP. These are all the training clients that I've worked with. Okay, and you can have your samples embedded in. And if you think about it, all I did is create getting a lot of background noise. Can people mute themselves, please? Just mute. Yeah. And I've also, thank you. I've also included my education certifications and all that. You don't have to, but some of these is good to have, right? Uh, and of course, I put at the end, um, I put things like references in what people are saying about me, in um, on my portfolio, and this is all coming directly from LinkedIn. So, and from here you can go to again training, you can go to education, you can go to references, whatever. I mean, there is a million things you can do with things like this, right? So that portfolio, if you put, I have uploaded it. I uploaded this to um, SlideShare, and I get a lot of views. And if people want, they will contact me. If not, I'm fine. Okay. So again, you are trying to get out there and get as much exposure as possible. On this portfolio, you can also include a link to the portfolio in your LinkedIn profile, in your e-signature. Include who you are, what are your skills, your strong points, some samples, and everything that I showed you. Okay. Now, let me actually get into the whole process of freelancing. And, I got a lot of questions on can we do freelancing while I'm still working, as a technical writer full time. I'll get into that. First question, first, my immediate answer is please don't try that, but let me boil it down basically. So, what are some of the components of freelancing? Of course, you have your first initial call, right? You have to understand the clients. You have to understand their domain, understand their requirements. What is it that they are looking for? What they're looking for may not be right. You might have a better view of what they need, but ask for their requirements, understand it, understand their technology. They may not be able to give you access to their platform right away. Ask for a demo, right? After you've understood everything, what I like to do is create like a proof of concept, a POC. What can I do for them? A small sample, so they get an idea that I have understood what they want, and I'm able to deliver to them what they need, right? So a good sample might be good. And then you send in your proposal, the scope, dates, deliverables, the process of writing, editing, reviewing, pricing, whose responsibility will it be to review, whose responsibility will it be to update, maintain, whatever, right? And let me actually give you an example of what a documentation proposal looks like. I used to use this long time back. I haven't done freelancing now in a while, but there's a commercial proposal for an online documentation and training system for the phase one of whatever company and name. The name of my company is, is or was Crackerjack Wordsmiths, which I started, God knows, in 1999 when I was in Singapore. I worked under this name in Canada a lot. Um, so executive summary, documentation, roles and responsibilities, scope. What is the scope? Here's what the project my proposed structure would be. So instead of going through this, let me just straight away go into this, right? So this document describes deliverables, responsibilities, and milestones. Tentative start would be some date, tentative completion would be some date. The scope is to create a from scratch documentation and deliver online context sensitive help, right? I'll include up to 5 2-minute videos with voiceover and make the online documentation context sensitive, which means I told them I will need your developer bandwidth a little bit. Um, More videos, job aids, and training topics can be added in subsequent phases. Now, here's the documentation team. There is going to be a project manager from the client side, a technical reviewer, can be a team of reviewers, and someone who has the authority to sign off or approve the content that I deliver to them. On the documentation team side, my side, I will be doing the project management. Maybe I'll be the writer, maybe not. Depends on how big the budget is and how big the project is. If it's a big budget, big project, I might need help. Otherwise, I'll do it all on my own. One writer, one instructional designer for the videos, and one voiceover artist for the videos. Team responsibilities. The documentation team, which is me, I'll draft the content, capture, whatever it is that I'll do, solicit feedback, finalize with the technical team, and the technical team will provide access to the platform, populate it with relevant seed data. I don't know what your data should look like ideally in your domain. Don't take that responsibility, give it to them as far as possible. Provide timely feedback, make SMEs available, and provide relevant use cases and examples that I could use in my documentation. What is the project scope? I'll give you an overview. I'll talk about navigating. I'll talk about different roles. I'll create some videos on how to navigate, on how to create a team, how to add whatever it is, org unit, users, sub system users, different kinds of users, navigating, and these are the videos I'll create. And then I'll also create some downloadable quick start guides or cheat sheets or job aids, for you. And roles to be documented will be, they had identified in phase one, we need to have whatever roles. I've just randomly picked roles here. So that's what they wanted. And the final deliverable, this is very important to capture that will you be giving them the source code, the actual help project from your RoboHelp or FrameMaker or whatever it is you're using. So I'll be giving them the help system, the source code, the style sheet that I create in RoboHelp, peer reviews and edits, at least one, but likely more rounds of technical review, and up to 5 videos and an introductory session on using RoboHelp so you can maintain your own help file. This was like a throw-in. I just threw this into, oh, we're getting session, just all included in this cost. Documentation methodology, there are 5 roles. All documentation will be drafted based on these roles. Don't come to me saying, hey, I want this process documented. No. Is it part of one of these roles? Then it's included. If it's not, it's out of scope. It's very important to control your scope creep, right? One role will be fully completed, including review and sign off before moving to the next role. So agile. You complete, deliver, review, finalize, go on to the next one. Definitely risks and dependencies, timely reviews, changes in UI. I'm not responsible for that. And communication gaps. If you suddenly change something, don't tell me about it. If you change something, you don't make that build available to me. Don't give access to me. Don't expect me to be dreaming about your changes in your UI or your features. Commercials, don't go with this number. It looks very high, but this is a random number. Uh, you know, this is what I'll charge for the phase one. This can be 1 lakh, it can be 20 lakhs, it can be whatever, 50,000, depending on what it is. Okay? I'll send whatever I do that is included in final deliverable is included in this cost. Okay. And for people who were asking me about, how do we control them, make sure they pay? Suggested payment structure is you must pay me 30% in advance, 20% when I'm done with A role, 15 with B role, 50. So by the end of the project, you're only left with 10 to 20% of pending dues from the client. You don't go on to the next step before you have been paid for this step. When we get into the best practices and tips, I'll tell you about what happens, how to control this a little bit. Okay. Maintenance activities are not included. They can be discussed separately. Obviously, I want a recurring business from them, right? So they can be discussed separately. Additional services, I can create whatever Scrum compliant, LMS ready, online, videos, edit existing function, whatever you want to do. Content, videos, blogs, social media posts, handle your social digital marketing, whatever you want to do services for additional. Okay, great. Uh, I'll come to you for questions. Okay, I'm not stopping for questions. I want to make sure I'm completing my basic. But can we mute? Yeah, almost supper time. Almost supper time. But please go on mute. Um, okay. Now, don't forget to upsell, cross sell. I just showed you.
Sumedh, you are on mute now. You need to unmute.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how it puts me on mute and who does that. Sorry. Oh, I think, yeah. Okay, okay. I know. Good.
Dumb click from.
Thanks, thanks. Okay. So I've shown you the proposal. Uh, yeah. Don't forget to upsell and cross sell. And yeah, so after you've had this, then you go on to the next part, which is your purchase order. Okay. You, as a freelancer, if you are going sole proprietorship, that's fine. You can do everything on your name, or you can get a shop act license. Okay, you must have a corporate account. You must have a GST number, and there is something called a SAC code. So if you go with a shop act license, they will ask you for a SAC code. I forget now what SAC code is. I did this 10, 12, 13 years ago. They might have changes now, but you need to have the GST because you have to put the GST and all those things in your tax. There are tax implications with this, which we won't go into. We'll keep it fun. We won't make it stressful already than it is. Okay. So I showed you some examples. If you can please switch back to your this thing, uh, then what I would like you to do is please put in different examples of what you think is cross selling and upselling. What is cross selling and upselling, please, on that Google Docs? Scroll down to exercise 3. Just checking I'm not on mute. Anonymous alligator typing. Okay. What is that? No, no one interested in upselling their services or cross selling, providing samples to another client. Okay. Adding. Perfect. Anonymous Mint. Whatever you're doing apart from your technical writing for that company, right? Yeah, blogs, contents, perfect. Yeah, sharing. Okay, sharing a piece of work may be taken as a sample of the fact that you can deliver this what they're looking for, but not a cross sell. So cross sell, I'll give you an example now, right? So let's say the client comes to me for a user guide, for a PDF based user guide. Okay, if I'm upselling, I'm going to propose that you create a separate user guide for you for the user management module. The rest of the modules, the whatever the admin and all these different roles do, I will put that separate guide and I'll create the user management as a separate guide because the user management role is probably going to be done by someone like a system admin or the user admin, right? So that could be an upsell. You're still delivering what they want, but you're trying to get more deliverables out of them. Another example of an upsell could be that they want a PDF user manual. You propose an online context sensitive help. Say it's a SaaS system or a web help or some kind of a client server application. Maybe a user manual doesn't a PDF based user manual doesn't really cut it these days, right? You want more interactivity, you can't embed videos. So you can say, why don't you go with online context sensitive help? It's easier to maintain. You can have it server side, so it's easier to publish and deploy and all that. Of course, you have to understand their architecture and all those things, but These are some basic examples of upselling. What is cross selling? They want a user manual. Okay, they have not asked you for anything else. So how can I cross sell? I will pitch for quick start guides for their critical modules. And I'll tell them that once you have those quick start guides done, I will even embed them into the online help. So your clients can download them and print them on demand. You don't have to worry about it. Right? So if you think about it, see this quick start guide, marketing collateral, quick reuse, repurpose. This is my additional service. So I have upsold and cross sold them in my proposal itself. And I'm not given them the costing for that. I said, let's talk about it. So I will gauge their level of interest and then either charge them high, medium, or low. Propose short on demand how to videos embedded with the context sensitive help. They nicely complement the online help. And when I'm creating my proof of concept for them, I will actually include all of this and show them the whole thing, what it looks like. There is a quick start guide, there's a video, there is a navigation, everything. And they can see the final, like all of this cross selling, upselling included, POC, proof of concept. Then they have to think that, now it comes down to budget. But you've sold them on whatever it is you want to sell to them, right? That is upselling and cross selling. Don't underestimate that. It can really increase your margins by huge numbers. Now, your typical workflow, you got the project, but now you have to deliver that project. I mean, getting the project is great. Great. You got 10%, 20% advance payment. You got that 1.5, 2 lakhs. That's great. Kudos. But now you have to deliver. So you have to submit a proof of concept. You have to negotiate. Of course, you tell them a price and they say, can you decrease it? I mean, we haven't even started talking about what you want or what you don't want. Can you decrease it? So be ready to handle those kind of questions. Right? And then once you have submitted your POC, you've sort of negotiated a ballpark figure, then you give a proposal with your terms and conditions. I think I might have lost you on that. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. So a proposal, right? And then I am going to, uh, what is the next step you have to do? You have to initiate that that's all done. They agree to your terms and conditions. Now you have to initiate the project. So before starting, obviously, if it's a big company, they will have you sign the NDAs. You will get the advance payment, especially for new clients. If you don't have a history of working with this particular client, please don't start working in a rush. Always understand that these people, when I say these people, the accounts, there is the recruitment, there is a procurement department, there is a finance department, there is the project manager, there is the approving people, there are reviewers. Somewhere or the other, hurdles can be very easily created, not knowingly but unknowingly also. So advance payment is a must. And they might say, boss, start kar do yaar, just get started, we'll follow up, we are in a rush. You might be in a rush, you should have come to me earlier. I'm not in a rush. I need my payment, and then I'll put straight, I'll go to the fifth gear. But don't ask me to start in second gear, third gear without putting gas in my services. You have to execute the project. What that means is you follow your typical document development life cycle. So you understand the requirement, document the process, whatever it is they want documented, get the first review done. Then you what are you looking for at this point is the kinds of jargon, the terms, the vocabulary, the terminology that this particular domain or client or environment uses, right? Typical DDLC and DRLC is basically your document development lifecycle and document review lifecycle. So I generally have my peer reviews done by someone because I can't review my own documents, right? When you have your review of documents, self and technical, is I'm a big fan of self reviews. I do not give anything. I don't like to receive anything from anyone for editing. Neither do I give unless I have uh I know that it's been self reviewed, because you can catch your own stupid mistakes and you don't want anyone else catching them for you. Do your job and do it right. And of course, on the technical side, get the content approved by my client. Now of course I haven't done this in a while, but luckily my daughter is also into content writing, and I generally used to give some of my work for peer review to her. Anything that is not sensitive, or I used to say, you know I have a team, or I have one or two people who might be doing peer reviews, and the peer review is not to understand the technology or the feature. It's to know what I have written is making sense when that sentence is read out. So think about someone who is good at English and can point out the grammatical errors or the ambiguity in your writing. And finally, you have to deploy that. So deploy meaning not deploy the online help as part of your online help, as part of your their system. That is of course there, but deploy means you deploy the project, you get paid. Once something is approved, and send them the invoice very promptly. Don't say I'll send it, yaar bhejna hai, no, send it, and include on your invoice the payment terms which you already have discussed, but put it there also that it must be paid by RTGS within 15 days of the date of this invoice, vagara vagara. Okay, that is what I mean by deploy. So you send a proposal, initiate the project, execute it, get it reviewed, and then the project to them. Uh, Now, the plan, you think it's going to take me so much time, so much money. So you quote, and of course, the pricing is high. So how do you do that balancing act a little bit, right? So the cost to effort ratio, okay? Plan for additional. So remember, we upsold or cross sold our videos, and they said we love the idea. We would like to have 10 videos to start in phase one. Now you're thinking, shit, I gave it. I didn't think about how I'll give it. I personally don't know Captivate. I don't know Camtasia. I can work on it, but I don't have time to learn and deliver it. I may have to go out and get freelancers to do that video for me now. I may have to go out and get voiceover artists. I may have to find a studio where I can have that voice artist record the audio or the video. Or I can use some kind of an Azure, tool, or some voice maker online tools to get machine language. But client may not like the machine language. He said in your sample, I didn't like the machine language. I need a human voice narrating. So you have to plan additional resources for these kind of things. Estimating, list out all the activities and time and the cost for each activity. So requirement gathering, going through the online help, getting your hands dirty with it, understanding the platform, talking to SMEs, writing the first draft, reviewing the first draft, writing the script for the voiceover artist to record, writing the storyboard or creating the storyboard for the instructional designer to create that or record that video. If you're going to do it, you have to record the video. So list out all the activities, consider all this time, honest Rao there, consider all the time in your quote of both time and cost. Something go by so that, and you're thinking, I didn't even think about this. Don't let that happen. Do some basic thought process when you give a quote. Are you going to so they say, hey, we loved your online help and we would like to have a web help. Yeah, but you created the web help using the evaluation version of RoboHelp, and this evaluation version is valid for 15, maybe 30 days. This video or this project is going to go for 2 months. you are not going to be able to deliver it in a UL, right? So you need to include licenses. You might need specialized tools like voice maker or other tools for your recording. You may need a specific hardware like a dongle. Without the dongles, and they might give you a dongle, you might need other consultants like the voiceover artist, like whatever it is. So just like you're estimating time for every activity, think about who is the owner who will actually deliver that activity to you and build it in to your quote. There are various ways of quoting. We'll look at that on the next slide. Is it going to be hourly, so TNM, which is time and material, or is it going to be project cost? Now this is going to be, it can be controversial, it can also be very interesting. How do you gauge your hourly? Because now in India I'm seeing a lot of people are interested not in a project level delivery, but from an hourly rate. So I tried a lot of different things, and I think this formula works the best. Whatever salary you want, okay, whatever salary you want annually, ideally. So I'm going to pull out this calculator. Let's say if you were a full-time employee, you want 10 lakhs as a full-time salary. Okay, you times that by 2. Okay, now how many hours are there in a working year? 90 hours a week, a month into 12, that's 1920. I'm taking 8 hours a day. 8 hours a day is 40 hours a week. 40 hours a week is 160 a month. 160 a month is 1920. But you're not going to work 1920 hours. Are you never going to be sick? Is there never going to be a January 26th or April 15th, sorry, August 15th, or Ganpati or Moram? You know, all these holidays. Then there is sick time. I have to take my kid to X and my wife to Y, whatever. So you don't use the entire 1920 hours. You put something in your kitty, the 420 hours. So you take 220 lakhs, divide by 1500. That gives you about a ballpark figure of 1,300, let's say 1,500 rupees an hour. Okay, that's your hourly rate. You multiply that by however many hours you worked in that week or month, however the billing is going to be done, frequency of the billing. Anything outside of this you can try. Obviously, when it comes to 13, I might quote 2,000 because I know they're going to negotiate, and I might come down to 14, 15, 16. But if you are anything below 1,300 dollar rupees an hour, understand you are not achieving your 10 lakh salary. You might be going down to negotiating down to 7 8 lakh salary. If you want 40 lakhs, then your hourly rate will be 2,600. Okay, you have to gauge what your worth is, how much time you think you are worth, and how much money you think you are worth. Okay, but this is a good ballpark figure that generally works. And you can ask me more questions on this in a bit, but so now I want to, do another very quick. This is the last exercise. If you can go back to document, please. List out all the different examples, or list out all the things that you could have in your portfolio. What are the different artifacts you can include in your portfolio? Okay, project deliver testimonials. Yeah, testimonials. I've already shown you my portfolio, so this shouldn't be too hard. But again, I want you to think a bit. Customer feedback. Yeah, already published documents. Yeah, education. Uh, so what I was thinking of is possible artifacts, which also means, yeah, education and all that is great, but yeah, you have some samples. Great, you are on the, I think, on the right track, right? So blog entries, before and after works really well. This is the before of what the client was working on the draft, and this is what I finally delivered to them, right? Again, there are this never ending conversation will go on about, can I show this to other clients, can I show my past client work as samples to my current clients. There is no silver bullet that will solve that problem, but that if you don't have a sample, you can't even think about showing it. So have a list of samples. I mean, over the last 20 years, I've collected a lot of samples that I'm comfortable showing, mainly because after about 5 or 6 years of old data becomes irrelevant anyway. That the feature, the functionality, UI, that entire, it used to be maybe a client installed app. Now it's a SaaS app. Everything has changed. But what I'm trying to show through my samples is, how I go about understanding the audience. What is the kind of terminology or what is the chronology I'm using? Why am I putting this module before the other module? How am I embedding online help and QRG and videos in that? Those things are going to be the most important part to them, not to learn the feature of that product, 'cause that's they have their own product to worry about. Okay. Perfect. So academic honors, blog entries. Yeah, if you've blogged, it's a public domain. Definitely include that. If you've written white papers are not for internal consumption. It's for public facing documents. Put them, absolutely. Create your own documents. Create your own samples wherever you can. Okay. Cool. Great. So very good. Possible article in your portfolio. Now, estimation. How do you gauge the scope? And I'm not going to go through this. There are a lot of, I just put them on. You can watch the video later on. But to understand the scope or to be able to estimate, when they say I want to document the whole screen, ask them things like, are there 100 screens, or do these 100 screens open 50 sub screens that we call dialog boxes? Okay. Do you have 10, 20, or 40 fields on every screen? If you have 40 screens on 100 screens, worry about that gives you a complexity or the volume of work. Do you have access to their product requirement document, market requirement, design docs, client docs, whatever? I won't go through all of it, but there are a lot of questions you can ask to gauge the complexity of a platform or application they want you to document, without getting to see it, right? How do you quote? The factors that matter when you're quoting. There's no standard formula. Okay, I've worked on projects that are full time paid, so I'm getting my salary, my benefits, my PF, CPF, whatever it is. Or if you're doing freelancing, you may cost out at a project level, you may do an hourly level, you may do a periodic monthly or a weekly payment, or you may do retainer. So excuse me, retainer means they are going to pay you X amount for 20 hours. Whether they use you for the 20 hours or not, they have retained you. So basically, it means I don't know if I'll have that much work, but when I have the work, I need you to be available. And they're ready to pay you up to 20 hours, even if they give you only 5 hours worth of work. Or, of course, you can go with the milestone driven cost, which is the example I showed you in my proposal. You pay me 30% when this module is done, 10% when that module is done, and 20% when everything is approved. Okay, so milestone driven. Some other factors that matter. Sorry. I've had companies that said, I want you to use this specific version of RoboHelp because we are not going to be upgrading and we want you to use this so we can continue using it. Great. Use their license. Some want you to include that in their quote. And some say, I won't pay you for the tools, but don't use a crack version. Okay. I want you to use, fine. I mean, that's the client I love because they are actually paying me to get a license. Um, That's fine. But these are all different variables you'll see. Other factor is your margin. How much do you wish to get for your efforts? Okay. You may want to consider these things. Is it a repeat customer? You've done a lot of business, some business. It's a customer that keeps coming to you, asking you for something, and then never follows through with an order. Is it a first time customer? You know it's a one time customer. आएगा काम करवाएगा 10-20 हजार का and he'll leave. Okay. Are you going to be quoting at a page rate in Word or word basis? You may be writing, but who is editing? Who's creating the graphics? Who is approving the content? Who is creating the voiceover? Are all of these chargeable separately? Some clients want to have a breakdown of what are you going to charge me in this 10 lakhs or this 1 lakh? Or all of these costs built into your project. Obviously, when you go with the project cost, you don't you don't think about it. You're delivering a project. But this thing becomes important in T&M, time and material. How much time do you require to create what material? So you have to have a pretty good accounting process for that. And any project management costs are usually built in as a separate line item. If you've worked with any vendors, typically, translation services, any service providers, they will build in the project management costs separately, and they will bill a project manager in your quote. Of course, when you're a freelancer, one stop shop, one gang army, one person army, um, you know, you may not have the liberty or the luxury of building in a project management cost, but you can always try. So if you want to be a strategic freelancer, protect your own interests and also that of your clients always. So create an agreement, get the client to sign it. The proposal that I showed you, right? I've said here right on the beginning, first page, this document must be reviewed and signed off by both my and their client company. Otherwise, it's null and void. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to start anything till I get the 20% advance that I've asked for. Um, Lay out clear instructions for payment and non-payment or timely payment. So timely payment means 15 days from in receiving the invoice or every fifth day of the month, not later than that. Every week, every month. Every time I send an invoice to you, whatever your payment instructions may be, and say that I will be putting interest at 8%, 9%, 2%, whatever you want, if the payment exceeds 1 week beyond that 15-day limit that you've given them. So bring in everything that you can go after them to get the money, recover the money. uh, we'll get to the question answer part in 5 minutes. I'm almost done. So get 15-20% in advance. The more the better. Of course, they won't give you too much and they won't commit too much in advance. You want to talk about, do you want to check the money into your account, RTGS, NEFT, whatever? Don't start without an advance. Build payment schedule in the proposal. Insist on periodic payments. Don't deliver the whole 6 month worth of project without getting paid at intervals, because then they can say you didn't deliver on time, and it's all up to them whether they pay you or not. Keep it regularly coming. How do you deal with payment issues, right? You are delivering, so they can't say that you haven't delivered. But when I deliver, if I have not paid for that, I will put a watermark, and I won't watermark it as draft. I'll put my name, or I'll slap the company's name, or I'll put something like this content is not yet approved or something like that as a watermark on the online help. So even if they don't pay me and try to be smart and use my content to deliver to clients, they can't. Because at this point, I'm not giving them my source code of RoboHelp. I'm only giving them the output CHM or web help or whatever it is I'm outputting for them. So I have control of that. They don't. Only give partial outputs. If there are 20 screens or 20 topics in a module, I'll only give you 5 modules. 20 are ready, but I'm going to conditionally not include them or exclude them from my output. Include your branding on the documents, my logo, my name, whatever it is. If it seems helpless, you've tried everything, it's been 2 months, you've been waiting, stop wasting time. consider that money as a dead investment, gone, forget it. Don't waste more time in trying to retrieve the money. If they give it, great, but if they don't give it, you have other clients that you want to move to. Your full-time job is not to retrieve money from a client who's not paying you. So think about what duration it is that you will continue to work from them without getting. Suggestion is don't work with these clients. They always take up time. कल तक हो जाएगा soon. My CEO is on leave, the finance guy is on chutti, he had an accident, whatever it is. Decide how much time is good enough time for you to have waited and then give up. Get everything approved, but hold on to the final delivery till the payment is received. That is arm twisting. Boss, first you pay me, then I'll give you. At this point, the client can't even go anywhere because they've spent freaking 6 months with you, and they can't suddenly get that same thing delivered by someone else for lower the cost or whatever. So these are all unfortunate measures. These are all desperate measures. But if I put my time in delivering something to the client's requirement, it is up to me to get that money from them also. Now, one big thing on bandwidth, we think we'll do this and that and this and that. No, you have to plan your bandwidth carefully. When you're a freelancer, you're not depending only on one project or one client, right? You're getting many. So don't stretch yourself too thin. Never ever stop looking for the next project. I always say this. What is the best time to be looking for a job or a project? Please unmute and tell me. I want to spend 30 seconds on this. What is the best time to be looking for a job or to be looking for a project? Anyone? Quickly, or you can type. Before I give you the answer, I want to see what people are thinking. I would prefer if you just speak up.
Hi, Sumit, Shrutika here. So I recently read this question somewhere on social media, and the best answer, the person who posted this question rated an answer as the best answer. And the answer was this, that the best time to look for a job or work is when you don't really need it. Because if
And
you're
we lost you
desperate
right
and
at that moment. Huh. What was that? What was
yeah,
that? The
because if
best
you
time to look for a job is
when you don't actually need it, you would be good to have it,
perfect.
but you don't actually need it.
That's it. I was going to say the same. The best time to look for a job is when you don't need a job. Okay, perfect. So that is why I said thank you, Shitida. Excellent. Yeah, someone has their raised hand. Sheldon.
Yeah, I was I often get invite from a recruiter with
Uh,
about like 2 weeks to go, and how do I handle that? Because now I've got to go and hand over the final phase, which is like going to take up a lot of my time and concentration. But at the same time, I've got this request from a recruiter who has something in exactly that time frame. So how do I handle that kind of a situation? Don't burn
so
my bridges with the previous client, with the
yeah,
existing client, and at the
yeah.
same time, like you said, keep the flow growing for the next opportunity.
Okay, and I didn't see you sneak in there. Sheldon is a good friend of mine from Canada. Thanks for joining. It's good to have you on here. And so I'll come to that, Sheldon, because it's slightly a different question. It's not really the when do you need a job, but yeah, it's certainly related. So what I'll say is ask for time. You are a freelancer. You are supposed to be a good negotiator. And one of my slides, I think the upcoming slide says that it is not for someone who is just starting out for the first time. The first year after college is not a good time to be going for a freelancing career in technical writing just because it seems lucrative. It is, but it's lucrative for people who know what the hell they're doing, right? So the thing is, and if you're a free have this thing pulling you back that you can only work on one project. You're working through your company can take any number of projects. I'm not talking full-time employment here. That is what this moonlighting thing is all about now. But if you have a recruiter coming to you and say, hey, my current project ends in about 2 weeks or 1 week or 3 months or 2 months, is this client going to be able to wait? At least start discussion with the client, have that initial talk, have that initial call, because for all you know, they might have a call and the the client will put that project on hold for 2 months, and it might work out perfectly for you. So never let go of an opportunity to talk to someone who could be a potential client. You can always get the project and say, guys, I'm so sorry, but the timing is really not working. If you wait for a month or 3 weeks, I can start on it right away. But I may not be able to start on it for the next 3 weeks till I finish off hand over my current project. Um, that's one way of doing it. Okay, so great. Never stop looking for the next project. When you least need it, go for it. Consider backup for external resources. For example, um, I've worked with a lot of people who I rely on for my videos. I have 5 videos to deliver, and last minute this guy says, "मेरी बहन की शादी, I forgot to tell you, my sister's wedding is in November. I have to deliver this end of November." He goes for 1 week. Now what am I going to do? I have to find someone else. I have to explain everything. I have to see that guy's sample now. So have backups for external resources. Suddenly the voiceover artist is "Gale mein khich khich. I can't talk. I can't do the voiceover today. And I need the voiceover today in order to deliver my 3 videos next week, for example." So have some backups. Think about backups of having, this risk and risk mitigation project challenges and all that. Okay, freelancing versus full time. This would be an important slide for a lot of you. Weigh your options carefully, and I'm just going to throw it all out in one go. Of course, when you're a freelancer, it's flexibility over security, and of course, in full time, it's security over flexibility. Here, there's no regular payment. You might get paid at a project cost, bang, 2 mahine ka project, you get paid suddenly 5 lakhs, but in between there's a drought. You have nothing coming in. Yeah. Yeah. For professionals working full time, I'll come to that. Here you're getting your regular salary, typically higher rates. This is, you have to be content with your CTC. And this year, for those of you who are working full time, I don't even expect any increment. Forget the 10%, 8% you've been so spoilt with. You might be lucky to just get 1% increment, the way things are going and the way layoffs are going. Paid only if you work. If I take sick leave, if I take annual leave, if I'm traveling, I'm not getting paid. You know. My wife works a little bit of freelance in her career, and she says, if we go for a holiday, not only am I getting not getting paid, but we are spending. So it's double whammy for us. So it's that kind of a thing. Uh, there are no paid holidays. Whereas if you're working full time, Chuttilia off for 10 days, I will have very limited to no access to emails, and Bob's my uncle. No medical benefits. Here you have extended no paid leaves, work from home year round. Although of course now this thing has reduced quite a bit, but it's a matter of time. Another 3-4 years from now, you might start going back to work. If you are on your own boss, your boss doesn't decide whether you take this project or not. You decide whether you take this project or not, right? I can say I don't want to take up this semiconductor project. I'll go with this healthcare or fintech or edtech project. Um, you decide your own projects, and you are considered, and here see, you're considered an expert in your own field. Here you can learn on the job, right? If you start working as a technical writer on some kind of a domain, you can learn that domain on the job. That's fine. But I cannot say to my client, I'll use RoboHelp, but I'll need some time to learn it. Then they will go with someone who knows. They need an expert as a freelancer. They don't need someone who will get paid to learn something that they need. Okay, that's an important aspect. And the question I want to address it right away. The question that I have here is, for professionals working full time, what all should they keep in mind for freelancing as to avoid any conflicts? Keep in mind your full time. Typically, whether you can work outside of the full time company or not is completely handled by what is written on your offer letter. If your offer says you cannot work with any other company that is a competitor company, then you can work freelance with a non compete company. But if it says No external work is allowed, whether on weekends or weekdays or inside or outside of the work hours, then you are getting into that slippery slope of being non-compliant with your agreement or your offer letter. So be very careful. There is no right answer that if you're doing full-time job, do these things and you can easily do a freelancing. No, the thing is, if I'm working for, say, teach and go and teach in Sims or whatever, I would go to my manager and say, boss, I really want to teach here. I might make some money, but it's on a semester level, and it's not something that clashing with my company, your domain, whatever we are doing. And it's up to that manager, that HR's company's HR to figure out whether it's okay for me to do it or not, right? But yeah, try to have that conversation and keep it open ended, keep it transparent. Don't let them find out that, oh, Sumit does this but he teaches there. I don't like that. So um, hopefully that answers, but I'm going to come to that also in my slide. Okay, so when you are transitioning from a full-time employee uh, to a full-time freelancer, FTE to FTF, okay, here's yeah, some guidance. It can be very, very lucrative, but you need to know how to make it lucrative, right? You have to do a SWOT analysis. What is a SWOT? Study your environment, study everything that is going on. If you're going to be freelancing in India, focus on your strengths and the opportunities. What is the market? Where is the market that is hot today? What market is hot today in India? you know Maybe it's financial, maybe it's banking, maybe it's insurance, maybe it's manufacturing, maybe it's auto, maybe it's aerospace, whatever it is. And what is your skill and what are the opportunities? So focus on that skills and opportunities, but plan for your weaknesses and threats. Maybe, for example, healthcare, there's GE, there's Siemens, there's Philips. Everyone is in India, everyone is working in healthcare, Rad, MR, some healthcare products, household electronics. Are you any good? MR equipment, are you any good with healthcare? Do you have any certifications? Do you know how it works? Do you have any manufacturing knowledge? I know, for example, there's this company Suzlon in Hadapsar somewhere. I would never be able to write about windmills and turbines. It's not my work, but there's a lot of scope for that. My weakness is I don't know the domain, and the threat is I may not get a project because I don't know the domain, right? So that you have to consider. Uh, Consider what are the domains, what are the tools, what are some interests that you have, and what type of work you want to do. You want to go and do content writing, blogs, digital marketing, writing, technical writing, software writing, or you want to do editing. You can do instructional designing, you can do testing, you can do become an iOS developer. All these things are open for freelancing. Uh, you have to be a brilliant multitasker. You have to switch between projects. You might be on a call right now for an X project, but if you have 2 or 3 projects you're working on, you may suddenly have to switch to that other call, between domains, between work cultures, between time zones, right? I used to freelance in Canada, and I used to work with people in the Bay Area, and I used to work with people in Bangalore and Pune, where, because they had their development centers here. So I was working with all kinds of people from all over, right? So, but one project was based in Canada, the other project was all over. There were people in Australia also. So you have to quickly switch between all these things that I mentioned here. You have to be a brilliant multitasker. You have to have a lot of patience. The career in a freelancing just doesn't happen overnight. Okay, it's going to be time consuming and it's going to be a difficult path. New domains, new technologies, get exposure to things that you have never thought of. You may have to start marketing yourself more than a resume, right? You'll have to establish your own process that I have to build this client on the 15th of every month. I have to build this client every week. That client is on a project basis, but I haven't got paid for my 20% after I delivered that. And I have to do my taxes also. So I need to have a ledger and a account balance. There are a lot of things that are going on. So establish processes of how you will find people, how you will find a, you know, freelancers to help you. Uh, you'll have to have a lot of discipline, okay, and build a brand, and you have to have self-esteem. Just because one client didn't call you doesn't mean you suck at things. It's because he sucks. He should have called you. He didn't. It's his loss. It's their loss. Look at it from that perspective. Not that, yeah, I'm not getting calls. No one is calling. No. You haven't then marketed yourself properly. You haven't been found uh, as much as you could have done. Maybe that's missing. So, these are some threats then. How do I make myself visible? Like I said, right? Uh, you're a one person gang, you're a one man show, one person show. You have to manage your bandwidth in delivering projects, in searching and managing projects, learning continuously. There might be a brand new cybersecurity project which I really am interested in, but I know zilch about cybersecurity. You know, I have to learn cybersecurity. I have to learn NIST. I have to learn CMMC. I have to learn GDPR. I might have to learn a little bit about ISO, and then be confident about, okay, what am I going to talk about, my skills in this project. And accounting, everything comes to you, right? Proof of concept you have to deliver, licenses and everything. You need to have a robust runway financially. If you're switching from full time, you need to be able to sustain yourself for at least, I would say, 2-3 months before you actually start getting calls and projects. Right? So don't quit your job and say, hey, I'll make so much more if I'm freelancing and I can do so many different projects without having a single project in hand. First, have that. The most important when you're switching is the ethics. Okay. What does your offer letter say? Are you going to continue your full time job and do freelancing? Or are you going to quit your full time job and do freelancing? Have a look at your offer letter, at your agreement with other clients, and your bandwidth. There's only 40 hours in a week. Yeah, you might put in 80 hours a week, right? But what where is your work life balance? Where is your family? Do your kids need you? Does your wife need you? Do your siblings, your parents? you know Bandwidth. There is a lot of tax implications. You're not just going and doing a simplified method of your tax. There's a lot of law. I mean, believe me, there's a lot of tax implications. If you're doing projects outside of India, like you might go to some online websites and see, um, you know work globally. You can be globally anywhere and do work. You might run into these things about work authorization. You may not be able to work in a project that is based in Philippines out of India because you're not authorized to work for that company because it's based in Philippines, right? So stay within the legal boundaries at all times. That's why I put it in big, bold, and red. Ethics. Okay, so where can I freelance? Just about anywhere. If you can be you can be doing content writing, technical writing, you can be doing corporate training, you can be blogging content, you can be doing digital marketing, you can be doing mobile developer, as I said before. There's a lot of things you could be doing in freelancing, right? Not up to me to decide what your skills are, but think about all the avenues, how you can market yourself, how do you do the strength and weakness analysis, and then take that step. It's it's fun. I'll tell you my experience in freelancing. 20 years I've been freelancing. On and off I've had full-time jobs, but whenever I'm in a full-time job, in last 15, at least not in India, I've not been in India for that long yet, but whenever I was in the US and Canada, after about 1 year to 1.5, 2 years in a full-time job, I used to start feeling claustrophobic. I want to get out of it, and I used to do project consulting, contracting. Lot of scope there, very few full-time jobs, and a lot more scope, lot more money, lot more opportunities in Canada and US for doing freelancing. Okay, the rates can be anywhere from $40 to 60, 80, $90. Of course, it depends if you're staying here, staying there, all that matters, but definitely a lot of cost. So with that, I thank you for your time. I hope this was helpful, and I'll take questions for as long as Puneet and the team allows.
Yeah, Sumit, that was amazing. We got lot of tips and lot of inside information, I must say. So, yeah, other than these questions, there are a few from the chat. One about the profile. Like, is there anything that should not be included in the profile when we start freelancing or building our profile?
That should not be included in the profile. Don't
Yeah.
include client sensitive data. Don't use samples that has uh, sensitive data from the client. Financials from your past clients, definitely. You probably don't want to include names of that client's competitors and how you did the competitive analysis or gap analysis of where that client stand. That could be a deliverable that you did, right? So let's say you compared Philips and Siemens and said, what is the gap? No, you don't want to give away those details. You just want to talk about what you did, not
Mhm.
specifically for a certain client. So those kind of details I think should be out. You know why? Because the first thing that that client, whoever you're pitching to, sees that's it. Boss, you're giving away all this critical data of an ex client. 99% you will do the same with my data also. And for me, my data privacy is more important than hiring the best person, which might be you, but you lack the basic ethics. बना बनाया काम बिगड़ जाएगा. If you had that in your pocket, you just lost it. So definitely think about these things. Don't include things like why you left a certain company. It was bad, the management was bad, it was stressful. You don't want negativity at all anywhere, either your resume, your interviews, your talks with the client, or in your LinkedIn profile. Only positives.
Okay, great. So something about the payments, like why are we calculating annual salary into two?
Yeah. So that's what I said. I tried it with three, and I got a slightly higher. I might see. Boils down to is what you really want. I could take, see, I want 50 lakh salary, and I'm only going to work 1500 hours. Okay. Are you going to get 3000 rupees an hour? If yes, go ahead and quote 4000 rupees an hour and negotiate down to 3500. Basically, if you quote 5000 or 4000 hour, you don't want to be in a situation where you are not getting beyond the initial call with the client. You want to keep them interested. At the same time, you don't want to lowball your skills, but also not overquote to an extent that he or she loses interest. Maybe their budget is only 800 an hour, and if you quote 4000, they are not coming back to you. But if it's 800, you quote them 1300, they might negotiate with you to 1000 or whatever. So that is how you can take 1500 hours, or you can take, I will be working, you know you can try what works for you. So this, I want 40 lakhs and I'll only work 1000 hours. That's 4000. I mean, as I said, I tried a lot of different permutation combinations, and living in Pune, I understand between 1500 to 2000 is a basic average going rate for freelancers from some of the blogs that I've been reading, what my daughter does in her content writing. That's basically what I've come to that. So work out your own formula. I mean, I just gave the formula that has been working for me in US and Canada, and I haven't tried it in India at all yet. But see, these are all guidelines. I can tell you ultimately you have to make it work for you. So come up with a way to gauge. See, today you might do it, I'll charge them 3000, and tomorrow you charge 5000. If the client asks you for a breakdown, you need to have some kind of a ready breakdown for them, that this is why it's going to be 3000 if you want me to be based in Bangalore, but it's going to be 2500 if I can be based where I am in Pune, versus if you want me to be based in Delhi, which will be a different rate. So that is how it I've calculated it. There's no more science to that.
Just one more
Okay.
question, which is like in reference to this, like, why did you divide it by 1500? I just missed that.
Okay, so there are so if you're working 40 hours a week, right, into four, that's
Yeah.
160 hours a month, and if you times that by 12, it's 1920 hours. But you don't work the full 1920. You're going to be sick. Your family is going to be sick. The client is going to be shut down during Christmas. There's going to be gazetted holidays, public holidays, all of that put together about 400 hours. So if you say 400 hours divided by 8, you're giving yourself about 50 days of sick time and off time during the whole year. Which, if you're working in a full time job, you have about between 15 and 20 days of annual
Yes.
leaves. You have about 8 days of sick leave, 4 to 6, 8 days of sick leaves, plus you have the 8 to 10 days of national holidays, right? So that's what
Yeah.
it comes to on an average.
Okay. Fine. Yeah. Thanks.
Anything else? Otherwise, I can go through some of these questions that we haven't handled. I think how to start freelance, we've talked about. Earning consistently is keep looking, as I said, keep looking for a job. Not a job, sorry, a project. A call away, a quick ping away. Okay, it's never too late to start looking.
So Sumedh, I
Yeah,
think we do have a few questions in chat. Probably Chetali got disconnected. Chetali, are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
yeah,
Yeah. So the next question is what to do if the client keeps postponing the intermediate payments, but
yeah,
then they keep the deadline or delivery date constant.
yeah. So I think I mentioned that here that you know give them, but don't give them something they can use. Okay, put drafts and say I will only remove the draft and give you a usable piece of work once you pay me.
Mhm.
Okay, or give only partial outputs. Out of 50 different topics you were supposed to give them, only give them 10 topics. Hey, where's the rest of my stuff? Where is rest of my payment?
Mm.
One topic equals 1,000 rupees or whatever, 10% of the payment. The more you pay, the more you get. It's all ready and they have to pay you. So that's what I
Mm.
meant by twist the arm.
Yep.
So,
Right.
so basically it's like you keep working, keep creating, but then probably don't give it to them. I was asking in terms of time management, like if you know that it is recurrent, that they're not paying you for quite some time and it's a recurrent thing, but you still keep working, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you keep working because see, if it's a 1 year contract or a 6 month or a 10 lakh rupee contract, yeah, it can happen that, they haven't paid you. So you have to see whether that's what I said. Is it a one time client? Is it a repeat client? Is it something that is going to give you recurring business all the time? You have to take all these things into consideration, right? I'm looking for that slide here, but um, if you know it's a one time client and the first is paying, I would say don't waste too much more of your time on that. See here, repeat customer, first time customer, one time. Over time, if you've worked with this customer 2 3 projects, you know that they have delays in payment, but they pay up. They end up paying anyway. So then I will continue to deliver in best faith if it's a repeat client. I would be a little bit more careful about this and this and this if it's a one time or a first time client I'm working with.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Sumit. So the next question is, I think you answered this before, how to calculate the retainer. So I think that's
Yeah,
the
so
same.
retainers, correct. So retainers basically can be two things that it can be 20 hours into so many hours, and this is my hourly rate. The other one is every month you pay me 80,000, 90,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees, and I will create up to 20 blogs for you or two videos
Mhm.
for you. All these. So you can have a scope, you can have a time, and you can have a budget that you will get paid this much, and this is the maximum that you deliver during that. These are basically what retainers do.
Okay, great. So next question is, are the tool licenses entirely self-finance?
No. So a lot of, as I said in this, I think some customers want you to include them in your quote. Some customers may give it to you because they have a license for that and they don't want to pay for it again. Other companies may say, don't charge me for it, but you must use a licensed version here, uh,
Yeah.
somewhere here. Anyway, yeah. So no, it's not. There is no one thing is going to be on a case to case basis, right? So I'm everything you ask me, I'm going to say it depends, but most of the times you will have to build it in. Maybe you take a subscription where you're paying $30 a month. It's a 3-month project, and so you say $30, so I'm going to be charged about, let's say, $200. Try to build in that $150 somewhere in your budget somewhere, like increase some module a little bit and say there are more screens in here, or the video you can charge for two of the three videos, you can charge a little more because say it's they're longer than 2 minutes. So there are a lot of ways which you can build in to the cost to recover. And see, ultimately the client knows they're going to have to pay for this. They just want to have a psychological, maybe this satisfaction that I'm not getting charged for the tool. They are. Don't say they are. Don't say I'm charging you $200 for a tool. That is definitely a point for their negotiation. They don't charge me those $200. So it will depend
Okay.
how you sell yourself.
Mhm. Okay. So the next question is, if I want to be part of a team like a tech writer or a video creator, what should be the approach? I think uh, he means that he wants to be a part of a freelancing team. Is that so, Anirban? Are you there?
Yes, yes. That is my question
Okay.
exactly.
So
So
you
because
want to be, sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So means actually what I was thinking, like before starting a project, if I can be a part of the project, so that like I can understand the strategy, or in that is what I was thinking.
So let me understand. The question is, you want to be part of a technical writing team, but as a freelancer.
Yes, yes.
Okay. See, when you go after a freelance project, you have to be a little bit more open minded and open to things that the client that may come to you, or the client who may see the benefit or the value of your services, if they already have a technical writing team, today the chances of them coming out looking for a freelancer are less. What they will do is try to get that work done within the team they have. They will not want to spend extra money to get a freelancer. Chances in today's situation is low. But you can't be really looking out and saying, you can't write a job description for your freelance project that you want to take, right? It will have to be, if the client has a team of tech writers and instruction designers and editors, great. But I would say don't be fixed to the point that they must have a team of writers, because the lesser they have on the technical writing team, the more chances of you getting um, repeat funding or repeat projects from them. The more chances that are, see, once your processes and your comfort level is set with the client, what are the chances they will not come to you next time they need similar kind of work done, right? So I would say ideally go out looking for companies who need a writer, can't afford one full time. Those are the best companies to be marketing your skills to. But I wouldn't narrow myself down to only looking for clients who may have a technical writing team. But yeah, I mean, it's so one of the questions you will have when you interview is, how do you work within a team? You're not, then it's more of a contract, right? Freelancing, typically when I say freelancing, I can be working from anywhere. I can be in Canada, US, home, I can be in Bangalore, India, or Bombay. It shouldn't matter to the client. I'm delivering you this scope by this date and you're paying me this much for that. That is typically what I mean by freelancing. And I can be doing this project and that project and that project and that project. All of that means freelancing. to me. So I'm open to any kind of, or I would say, keep yourself open to any kind of such projects that come. I hope I
Okay.
answered it, but I'm not very confident myself if I answered it.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
Okay.
Sure, sure. Thank you,
Okay.
Sunil.
Okay.
I have a question, Sumit.
Yes,
You,
Minal.
yeah, Meenal here. So
Yeah.
actually, you mentioned that you have taken lot of. You mentioned couple of mentoring sessions like art of networking and some others also in between the voice was job. So like creating a profile or something like. So would you be okay to take such sessions? In future with TWT or any such things?
Always, I love these kind of sessions. I love whatever I know. I would be very happy to share. My problem is I have no problem taking sessions, but I lack the grit and the tenacity that the TW team has in organizing these. The back end work involved in this is phenomenal, and the amount of work Puneet and this team are putting in across India. I mean, I can't clap enough and give you enough kudos, guys. I think I've said it on your one-on-one also, like the chat we had that day, Puneet. But that amount of back end work that is involved, I'm not sure I do that. But if someone can create that platform, I can put all the slides, all content, all examples, everything up here. I can just talk for hours and hours. But please help me with that back end part.
Okay, sure, sure.
But yeah, good, thanks. And I would also say, if there are specific topics that you would like to have, please let them know, let me know, and I can work. I can ask Puneet, I can ask whoever is interested in organizing such a session. But yeah, if you have a good list of topics, we can make something happen, I'm sure.
Yeah, like creating that portfolio thing. I mean, we do it in the class itself or something like that. It will
Correct,
be
correct.
really helpful. And the art of networking, you said, no, that is
Yeah,
something which also will be helpful.
sure,
Yeah,
sure.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Puneet, for answering all the questions. And we don't have any more questions from the chat.
Okay.
So, and I
Chetali,
think,
Chetali,
yeah.
Chetali. Thank you, not Puneet. Thank you, Sumit.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Sorry.
no. I can't thank you
Chetali, I
guys enough in
think
giving this platform, because there's a lot of people are interested in a lot of topics, and there's a lot of learning from all these topics. So thanks for organizing all these 100, 200, 300 consecutive sessions.
Chetali, there is a hand raise by Swati, so I think we can take this as a last question now.
Okay, Swati, you can unmute yourself and ask the question if you have.
Yeah, hi Sumit. So
Hi.
you said you can have like a team of in one of the discussion you said you can have a backup and as a freelancer. So is that what you come across during your networking? Like associate so having somebody as a backup, how do you do that?
Yeah. So it can come from LinkedIn. You can say, hey, I need a freelancer platform. I need a freelancer instructional designer. I need a voiceover artist. And there you have it. I mean, you have a pool of talent in all these TWT nationwide or regional groups. You can post it on LinkedIn, of course. But I mean, some people have come in companies that I used to be at in the past. I've interviewed them, maybe I've worked with them, and if I need a person, I would always think about people who I've already worked with, because I know their work ethics, I know their quality, I know that he knows what I'm asking for when I ask for this. So definitely, when you're trying to deliver a freelance content, I would say try to avoid working with someone brand new when you yourself are under pressure of delivery. So have that bandwidth, have that rapport with couple of guys. I mean, if you're freelancing full time, you're going to need some content writers, some bloggers, some digital marketing specialists. Create a team, pool of team who can help you with that. But if you want to start creating a team, this is where you do it. I mean, I at STC conference, I think that happened in Schlumberger once back before. I met a couple of people. I said, "Oh, you're instructor, yeah, great. I would love to have a chat with you because I keep needing your kind of service at that time, whatever I was doing, right?" And I've kept in touch. We may not have worked on any project because my current company may not need his skills, but when it does, I know who to reach out to. So yeah, you can have a pool of talent that you can reach out to. And don't underestimate this also. I mean, don't not think about this. You can advertise in colleges, mass comms, MA programs, BA programs in Ferguson College or any of your local colleges, and say, I need an intern. What better thing to do to be making money, but at the same time help a fresh graduate or someone who's looking for a job also, give them internship, right? That way you're not only mentoring them, you're also delivering good content. You might be saving a lot of money, and not that the quality you get out of an intern is bad. Very good intern, it's just that they don't have the corporate experience, so they can't call themselves a writer, but their writing skills, their communication skills might be excellent. And I have reached out to a lot of such colleges in the past and got excellent uh, bloggers or writers or whoever it is that you want. Think about these kind of avenues as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Before ending the session, I will request everyone to come on camera so we can have a quick virtual picture of